Hello guys, welcome to my channel. None of the event mentions are related to the real life story. No idol is being harmed in the video. Please like, subscribe and share. Jungkook faced Wishes with anger. That's enough, Minnie. She flinched at the volume but didn't back down. She's your cousin Jungkook, so act like it. Stop letting her pretend to be more. But instead of listening, he turned cold. You are jealous. That's all this is. You are insecure and imagining things, and now you are lashing out at everyone. Minnie heard stop. She stared at him stunned. Insecure? She whispered. You have been acting like a victim since the wedding, he said, voice sharp. No, no one in the house is trying to hurt you. But maybe you want to feel like a martyr. Maybe that's easier for you. He's saying this in a loud voice, in a harsh tone, to Minnie, and Minnie was stunned hearing it. Then admitting that you don't know how to be a good wife. The words stuck harder than a slap. Tears rose to her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. She nodded once, then returned and walked away. No one stopped her. Back in her room, she didn't cry. She sat on the edge of her bed, staring blankly on the wall. His words echoed over and over in her mind like broken glass. You don't know how to be a good wife. She had done everything, everything, and now he saw her as a problem. That night, she didn't set out his clothes. She didn't prepare his tea. She didn't greet him in the next morning. Something had changed. Minnie had finally stopped trying. She moved through the house like a shadow, doing only what was necessary. No exercises, no waiting for his return, no soft glancing across the room. Jungkook noticed. At first, with confusion, then with annoyance. She no longer met his eyes. She no longer asked how his meetings went. And worst of all, she no longer looked hurt. The silence, the absence of her pain was that haunted. One evening, 3 days after the fight, he entered his room and found it completely untouched. His shirt from the previous day still hung over. He noticed the back of the chair. His tie wasn't laid out for years. His mother and Minji had spoiled him with comfort, but since his marriage, it had been Minnie who brought quiet care into the room. Now it felt empty. He frowned and stepped into the hallway, where she was folding linens. You didn't prepare anything? He said flatly. Min didn't even look up. I don't know, I was still expected to. His brow furrowed. What's it supposed to mean? She folded another towel, calm and unbothered. I mean, I have decided to stop trying where I'm not wanted. He stood there, dumbfounded, as she picked up the laundry basket and walked away, without another word. Downstairs, Minji peeked from the corner of the hallway, beating her lip. She had won, hadn't she? So why did she suddenly feel nervous? That night, Jungkook lay awake. He told himself he was angry. Minnie was overreacting, that he had done nothing wrong. But sleep never came, and now, somewhere in the silence she had left behind, he felt the weight of something unfamiliar. Loss. The silence in the house had changed. It was no longer filled with tension or anticipation. It wasn't waiting for a storm or recovering from one. It had become the kind of silence that lingered after everything had already collapsed. That kind of whispered, nothing left to say. Minnie had stopped asking for love, and Jungkook, still too clouded by his pride, hadn't realized what that meant. Each morning she woke up before everyone else. The wooden floors creaked beneath her tight steps as she swept the halls, ironed clothes, brewed tea. Her presence had become mechanical, distant. Her fingers moved out of habit, not care. She didn't glance at Jungkook when he entered the room anymore. Didn't greet him. Didn't wait for his reply. She moved like a servant and lived like a stranger, and yet somewhere she never looked angry. That was what unsettled Jungkook the most. There was no resentment in her face, just nothing. A soft, muted calmness that seemed carved in stone. She no longer flicked at Minji's night comments, no longer hesitated when Madame Yunja demanded things that were never asked of Minji. She obeyed with grace, but without warmth, like she had already accepted her place, a body without a name, a wife without a husband. Jungkook noticed. Of course, he noticed. He noticed in the way her shoulder no longer tensed when he entered the room, in the way she didn't reach for his empty cup anymore, in the way she passed by him in the hallway without a single look, like he wasn't worth turning her head for. But instead of guilt, Jungkook felt like the villain in the story she had never dared to tell. And it was nothing because every time he saw her fold laundry alone in the corner or eat dinner after everyone else had left the table, something inside him pulled right then twisted. One evening, he returned home earlier than expected. The house was quiet, except of the clink of dishes from the kitchen. He expected to see Minji there, but instead it was Minnie, standing at the sink, hands deep in soapy water. He stood there for a moment, watching her. Her hair was tied black in the loose bun. The sleeves of her cotton blouse rolled up. She hummed something under her breath. A lullaby, perhaps, but even her voice sounded distant, like it wasn't meant for everyone to hear. He cleared his thought. She didn't turn. I am home, he said, his stand flat. Dinner on the table, she replied softly, but still looking at him. He waited. No question about his day, no soft smile, no eye searching for his face of a sign. Minnie? She finally glanced over her shoulder. Her expression was polite but hollow. Yes, he fluttered. He didn't expect her difference to sting, but it did. I never mind, he hummed, turning away. Behind him, the water kept running. The night he sat at the dinner table alone. Minji hadn't returned from her friend's house, and Madame Yunja was upstairs on a call. The food was warm, the table was full, but the seats across him was empty. He glanced down at the rice bowl, perfectly shaped, not too stinky. She always made it the way he liked. She always, even now. Yet she hadn't sat down to eat with him in days, and suddenly hated the emptiness. He found himself missing her voice, her presence, even her complaints, those timid broken attempts to explain how alone she left. He hadn't ignored every one of them, and now she had stopped offering them. 2 days later, Jungkook overheard something he wasn't supposed to. He had come down and the stairs quietly, intending to grab his laptop from the lounge. But he paused in the hallway when he heard Minji's voice drifting from the sitting room. She doesn't even cry anymore, just walks around like a ghost. Minji states with a chuckle. It's honestly creepy. Madame Angel replied, let her, that girl finally learned the place. You see how Jungkook doesn't talk to her anymore? That's what happens when you don't listen. Minji laughed lightly. I don't think she even expects love from him. No, it's almost sad. But I guess it makes things easier for me, doesn't it? There was a pause. Then Ananja spoke again, quieted this time. He doesn't love her, Minji. Not really. It was a marriage of obligation. But you have been in her since childhood. Jungkook didn't hear the rest. He hadn't stepped away, his jaw clenched. Somewhere in his chest, the floor had given out. He hadn't known they spoke of Minnie like that. He hadn't realized how cruelty they saw her, how pleased they were by her silence, and it hit him like a wave of ice cold water. Minnie hadn't given up on him. She had been forced to, piece by piece. They had taken everything from her dignity, love, her place in the house, and she had swallowed it with a grace. But not because she was weak, but because she still hoped. And now even that had died. That evening, Jungkook stood outside her door, hesitating. He hadn't been to her room since week. Not since they started sleeping separately. He raised his hand, knocked once, and waited. No answer. He knocked again. Still silence. Finally, he turned the knob and opened the door gently. Minnie was sitting at a small table by the window, writing in a notebook. Her posture was straight, her expression calm. She hadn't looked up. Can I come in? He asked, voice low. She paused, then nodded. It's your house. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him. For a long moment, he didn't say anything. He just stood there, watching her as I continued writing, unbothered, untouched. Finally, he spoke. I overheard Minji and my mother early. She froze. I didn't know, he hesitated. I didn't know they were treating you like that. Minnie closed the notebook and set her pen down gently. You didn't know, she repeated softly, looking at him. Or you didn't want to know. He flinched. She didn't raise her voice, she didn't cry, but the question cut deeper than any accusation. I tried to tell you, she said, her voice steady, again and again, but you still believed that, not me. He sat on the edge of the bed, guilty heavy in his bones. I thought you were just being sensitive, that you're jealous of Minji. I was jealous, she said. Jealous that she had your attention, your mother kindness, your trust. She looked away. But I never hated her. I just hated being invisible. He looked at her, really looked at her. Her eyes had lost her sparkle. Her eyes, once soft and warm, now looked pale and hollow. She wore her sadness like a second skin, fitted quite unshakable. I am sorry, he whispered, for not seeing it sooner. Minnie nodded softly. Thank you, but I don't need your apology. I needed your belief. Back when I still thought, I muttered. Those words struck something deep inside him. He had broken her, and now, even as he sat right beside her, she was miles away. That night, for the first time in weeks, Jungkook couldn't sleep. He lay him in his bed, staring at the ceiling, haunted by every movement he would ask. Every time she had looked at him with quiet desperation, every time he had turned away, she had loved him. He had cursed the love with silence, and now all that remained was fading light, soft, distant, and almost gone. Minnie stared at the faint blue line on the pregnancy test. Her hands trembled, her threading so loudly. It echoed in tears. She blinked once, then twice, hoping it was a mistake, a trick of light, but the result remained the same. The tiny plastic stick had the power to change everything. She was pregnant. A baby. A baby inside her. She sat on the edge of the cold bathroom floor, the tile pressing into her skin. She pressed her free hand to her stomach. It was still flat, still empty in a way. But something new had begun inside her. Something fragile, something innocent and terrifying. But because she didn't want it. But because she didn't know what kind of world she was bringing into. A soft knock on the door snapped out of place. Minnie. It was Minji. You have been there for a while. Are you okay? Minnie quickly showed a test in her but flushed out for effect and opened the door into a flat smile. I am fine, just feeling a little dizzy. Minji raised an eyebrow, gazing trailing across her face with false concern. Are you eating enough? You look pale. I am fine, Minnie repeated, stepping past her. As soon as she reached her room and locked the door behind her and clutched the fabric tighter around the test. Heart still racing. She couldn't tell anyone, not yet. Not when the walls in the house had ears and poisonous tongues. That evening, as Minnie prepared for dinner in the kitchen, her body moved slowly, cautiously. Every second seemed stronger than usual. Garlic too sharp, oil too bitter. Her stomach rolled with every wave of heat. But she kept sitting the dial as if nothing was wrong. Minji lounged nearby with her phone, occasionally glancing up to a comment. You know, if you just cooked a little faster, maybe Jungkook would start noticing you again. She stayed coyly, flipping through Instagram stories. Minnie didn't respond. She had grown used to these jabs. They no longer paced the way they used to, but today they felt heavier somehow. Like she wasn't just protecting herself now, but someone else too. Madame Yunja entered there, her eyes scanning the room with practiced calculation. Minji, she said sweetly, why don't you go freshen up? You have had a long day. She said it softly and sweetly. Minji stretched with a yawn. Finally, as soon as she left, Yunja turned to Minnie, her tone changing like a flipped coin. Still here? She asked coldly. After everything, you still have the nerve to act like a daughter-in-law in this house? Minnie placed the lid on the pot, her back straight. I am only doing what's expected from me. Yunja scarred. But expected, you mean sulking around like a shadow, wasting my son's time and running his family peace? Minnie didn't answer. Her fingers tightened around the edge of the counter. You think being quiet, you're innocent? Injun sneered. You are a snake, Minnie. Quiet, but poisonous. Just like your mother. Something in Minnie breathed flattered her mother. They never spoke about her hair, never with kindness, only as a weapon. Injun stepped closer, voice like a venom. I should have stopped this marriage the moment I saw your bloodline. You will never belong in this family. Minnie lifted her chin. Then why you let this marriage happen? Because your father begged. In just begged me to take you in like a favor and I did. But I don't think that makes you special. My patience is wearing thin. Minnie looked down, pressing a hand gently to her stomach out of sight, out of suspicion. Inside her, the child she didn't told anyone about felt even more vulnerable. That night, Jungkook came home late again. He walked past the dining table. Don't notice the many hadn't eaten. Didn't see the slight swelling in her face. The dullness in her eyes. She sat silently on the side of he. And Madame Yunja shared a meal. Minji joined in shortly after, laughing too loudly, brushing imaginary lint off Jungkook's shoulder like she owned him. Minnie didn't interrupt. She sat on the corner like part of the furniture, her appetite long gone. When she rose to leave, her head spun. She tracked slightly, gripping the edge of the wall. Jungkook turned at the motion. You okay? She paused, surprised he even noticed. Just a little tired. She should sleep more. He said flatly and turned away. She nodded even though he wasn't looking anymore. Upstairs, she laid curled on her mattress, facing the wall, arm wrapped around her stomach. The tiny heartbeat growing inside her had no idea how unloved her mother was or how unwanted she felt, but still she wanted his child. It was a part of her and a part of him, whether he cared or not. She couldn't let them know. Not yet. Not Madame Yunja. Not Minji. If they found out, they would take her last piece of hope and twist it into something ugly. Maybe even try to force her out before Jungkook even knew the truth. They were already watching her every move. She had to stay invisible for now. She had to survive. Meanwhile, in the room next door, Minji sat on the bed with Madame Yunja, her face lit with mischief. She's indifferent lately, Minji said, feeling her nails. Like she's hiding something. She always is, Yunja muttered. But if she sings, she can win Jungkook back with a new act. She is more foolish than I thought. Minji smirked. Why don't we speed things up a little? Yunja raised an eyebrow, meaning let's make it impossible for her to stay, force her to leave on her own. She's already fragile. One small push and she will break. Yunja finished the sentence with a nod. Exactly what we want. Minji leaned in, eyes glittering. Let's give her a reason to run. The next morning, Minnie entered the kitchen and found her favorite cup broken. Shards of porcelain lay in the sink. She frowned. She had washed it herself last night and left it on the drying rack. Minji appeared behind her, sipping broken. Shards of porcelain lay in the sink. She frowned. She had washed herself last night and it was lying back. Minji appeared behind her, sipping from a new mug. Oops, she said with a shrug. Must have slipped. Minnie bent down to clean, but Minji stepped around, heel pressing on one of the shards. Careful, Minji said sweetly. Wouldn't you want to hurt yourself? Minnie clenched her jaw but said nothing. Later that day, her neatly folded clothes were dumped out of her cupboard. Her toiletries missing, dinner spoiled by salt she hadn't added, and still no one said a word. No one. Not even Jungkook. He barely looked at her anymore. She began sleeping with one handed over her belly every night, whispering promises in the dark. I won't hurt you. I won't let you unlearn. Not like me. One afternoon, Minnie sat in the garden, trying to breathe in peace. The air was warm, the breeze was gentle. It was one of the rare places in the house where silence didn't feel suffocating. She picked a jasmine flower, inhaled its soft fragrance, and smiled just a little until she heard footsteps behind her. I didn't know weeds would smile. It was Minji. Minnie stood, already walking away. But Minji stepped into her path, arms folded. Tell me something. Why are you still here? Minnie didn't answer. Minji leaned closer. Oh, wait. Is it because you're pregnant? The world tilted. What? Minnie whispered, her voice barely audible. Minji smirked. You thought I wouldn't notice the way you clench your stomach, the way you flinch at smells. You think I didn't recognize your signs? Minnie's heart pounded in her chest. Minji's voice turned colder. Don't think a baby will save your place here. If anything, it makes you easier to kick out. You wouldn't. Oh, I would. Minji hissed. And your precious Jungkook? He will never believe you. Not everything we have told him. Minnie stumbled back. One hand is stickily pressing in her belly. Minji smiled. Run along then. Enjoy your little secret while you can. That night, Minnie sat by the window. Notebook on her lap, she wrote another letter to the child growing inside him. I didn't know what kind of world you will enter. I didn't know if your father will ever love you. But I promise I will. Even if one day one else stand with us, I will. You are not a mistake. You are a miracle. And I will protect you with everything I have. Love, your mother. She folded it, placed it with her pillow, and lay down with tears treading the edge of her pillow. Outside, the moon watching silently, its light dim but constant. Inside her, the child with impulse with the rhythm of life, and even though no one else knew yet, Minnie reached its breaking point. She stood in the kitchen, her fingers trembling as she sliced the vegetables, her vision blurred every few seconds. But she kept working there with everything and working, just working. We have only one life of working, and is driven by habit, by fear, by the constant unspoken pressure to not failure, to not give them any reason to throw her away. Her limbs felt heavier than usual, her head pounded, her stomach churned in the unease. It had been days she had eaten properly, days she slept without nightmare, and now her body was beginning to speak with her mouth had dared not to say. She turned toward the stove and collapsed. The knife clattered to the floor. Her body crumbled beside it, still and silent. A scream rang out. Minji's. Someone help! She shrieked dramatically. Minnie, Minnie, she fainted. Jungkook came rushing downstairs just as Madame Eun swept into the kitchen, eyes narrowing as she assessed the scene. Minnie lay unconscious, her skin pale, lips dry. A cold sweat glistened on her forehead. Jungkook's breath caught in his throat. What happened? He demanded. She just dropped like that, Minji said, eyes with Fired with manufactured panic. She has been acting weird for days, hasn't she? We need a doctor. Jungkook said, scooping Minnie into her arms. It was the first time in weeks he had touched her. And something about the way her body lay limp beside his chest, smell weightless, fragile, shook something looked inside him. At the hospital, Minnie was wheeled in a room while Jungkook paced outside, his jaw tight. Minji clung to his arm, but he barely noticed. His mind replayed the image of Minnie lying on the cold floor, her hand near the stove, as if she would be fighting even until her last moment of consciousness. Our doctor emerged an hour later, clipboard in hand. She fainted from exhaustion and stress. The doctor said, "But that's not all." Shankuk bros food. "What do you mean?" "She's pregnant," the doctor said calmly. Rough 2 months along. Jungkook froze. Minji grips on his arm stiffened. "Pregnant?" He stared at the doctor as if the words hadn't registered properly. "Yes," the doctor repeated. "She needs rest, proper nutrition, and emotional care. Her condition is fragile. Any further stress could lead to complications." The ground beneath Jungkook seemed to shift. Minnie stayed awake to the hum of hospital. Her hand throbbed, but a strange calm surrounded her, like the eyes of a storm. Her hand instinctively went to her stomach. She was still here, and so was the baby. Then she noticed him, Jungkook, sitting in the chair beside her bed, staring at the floor, silent. Their eyes met and froze for a brief moment. She saw something flicker in his gaze, but before he could speak, the door burst open. "Minji." "Oh, thank God you are awake," she said with false sweetness. "We were all worried." Minnie tried to sit up, but Jungkook gently stopped her with a hand on her shoulder. His touch was hesitant, confused. She looked away. "She's pregnant?" Jungkook said finally, his voice low. Minnie didn't respond. He turned to her. "Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me?" she whispered. Jungkook opened his mouth, but no answer came. Minji took the moment to speak, her voice full of concern. "It's just strange, isn't it? I mean, how long has it been since you took many froze?" The instinction hung in the air like a knife. Jungkook slowly looked at Minji. "What are you trying to say?" "I'm just saying," she said with a shrug. "You two haven't been close in a while, and she's being so secret lately. What if the child isn't?" "Enough!" Minnie said sharply, her voice cutting through the room like grass. Even Jungkook looked startled. Minnie's eyes were steady now, still beneath the exhaustion. "I don't care what you think," she said to Minji. "I don't owe you an explanation, and I won't defend my child existence to someone who never treated me as a human being." Minji blinked. Jungkook stared at Minnie, her strength, staring him more than her silence ever had. "I didn't tell you because I was scared," Minnie said, turning to Jungkook. "Scared that you would react exactly like this, that you have doubt on me, that you would let them poison your mind again." Jungkook's throat tightened. "Minnie," she looked away. "It doesn't matter anymore. I didn't expect anything from you." Back at home, the house felt colder than ever. Madame Yunja sat with Minji in her room, fuming. How could she get pregnant? Yunja hissed. "We kept her under control." "Maybe we weren't watching closely enough," Minji muttered. "Then we fix it now," Yunja said, her eyes narrowing. "If she thinks a child will secure her place here, she's mistaken." Minji chewed her lip. He's already staring to waver. "I saw it. We need to act before." He started listening to her. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you like my videos. Please share and thank you for watching. Thank you so much.